Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com and grab some CPE while you're there.
Well, hello and welcome everyone to episode number 116 of the Friday Fraudster podcast. So while I have you here, I want to remind you to go check us out on your favorite podcasting platform, live on LinkedIn and also live on YouTube. Now, before we get started today, today's episode is brought to you by the best-selling audit book out there, helping you ask better questions, get better answers, and perform better audits. By the way, that's the name of the book, Ask, Get, Perform. So let's level up your audit skills. Check it out today. Go to askgetperform.com. Now, I've got two special guests with me here today, but before I bring on our special guests, today we are giving away a special prize. You know what that prize is? That prize is a copy of the book, Ask Better Questions, Get Better Answers, Perform Better Audits. Now, you're probably wondering, what do you need to do to get a copy of that book? All you need to do is drop the hashtag that audit guy in this chat. Drop the hashtag that audit guy in this chat. I just put it in the LinkedIn comment section for everyone. Copy and paste it. We're going to do a drawing later on automatically, and somebody is going to win a copy of the book. Now, with that said, let's bring on our special guest for this week.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Hello.
So, Galena, Thomas, who are you? And how did you pop up on my show today?
I was just walking down the street and I heard that, there's this podcast that takes anyone from the street pretty much,
I just got an instant message on LinkedIn that had a link in it. So I was like, oh, cool. I clicked it. And all of a sudden I'm here. I don't know what's going on.
Now, wait a minute. Didn't Galena tell you about clicking on those links from strangers?
It looked legitimate.
Exactly. I mean, they're getting better every time.
Now, see, you click on the wrong link, you may need to call Galena. Galena, won't they need to call you for some cybersecurity services possibly?
Yeah, small boutique firm represented by me, offering cybersecurity services. So basically, if your computer goes dark, let's not get there. But just in case your computer gets dark, your email is saying, hey, you owe me this much money in order to get your files back. Call me, email me.
Wait a minute. Somebody said you thought you were responding about your car's auto warranty. Oh, that was Stephanie. That's hilarious. You know what? Wait a minute. Stephanie, I think, is going to be one of the special guests next week. Was it next week, Stephanie? Let me know if I have my memory correct, because you all know half the time I don't know which way is up.
You don't know what day it is. You don't know what month it is, but you're here. It's all good.
Look, I just show up. So wait a minute. Now, Thomas, who in the world are you, man? What do you do?
I'm almost like Chandler and Friends. Nobody really knows what I do. I just kind of show up. I own Revision Management Consulting. I help companies like the one we're going to talk about today prevent exactly what happened to them. But I also help internal audit departments, internal auditors with co-sourcings, special audits and such. I love what I do. I love providing some great resources, and I love being on this show because you never know what's going to happen.
So it's a show full of surprises, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So
I have to say, Robert, whatever you're doing something really, really right, because not only you have really amazing co-hosts, but also your audience. They ask amazing questions, and not just because you offered the book, but they truly ask the most amazing questions. They participate, and they're rock stars.
Yeah, this is the best audit audience on the planet. And who said auditors were boring? I mean, seriously. You know what's funny? I got an email the other day from someone who said, and she's on the show, she's participating quite regularly, but she said to me, she said, hopefully I'm not your only non-auditor that listens to the show. I think it's great. I was like, whoa, this is impactful.
Nice.
Yeah. Now I can tell my mom I actually made something of myself.
Well, I mean, let's be real, right? I mean, we really hope people who are not auditors are watching this or are listening to the podcast, hear what's going on, and are more aware of the risks in companies that they work for, or companies they own. I don't know who it is that says I'm not an auditor, but that's awesome. I hope you're learning something from these shows. Absolutely.
That's Stephanie, and she's going to be a guest host next week. So, yeah, man, this is good stuff. Oh, Justin says he's in tax. Awesome.
Well, we'll forgive you for that, Justin. I say that my wife was a tax accountant. I can joke about it.
You have special rights and privileges.
Exactly.
Oh boy. Now Marsha says she's not in tax audit either. I'm not in audit, but do desk and claims audits. All right. This is pretty cool, man.
I like it.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody else says I'm an EDD investigator for a bank. Oh, that's Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. So let me ask you all a question. Have you ever had a job where you felt like you were just underpaid? You weren't making what you thought you were worth as an employee. You ever had a job like that?
Dude, that's a tricky question. I'm not gonna go there. I do not burn the bridges. No.
Yeah, if you look at market research, apparently everyone thinks they're underpaid.
That's a very good point, Thomas. That's a very good point. You know what? One of my friends just texted me. I guess he's watching the show, and I can't even say it. Never mind. You know what? I'll say it anyway. He said, yes, I'm married. Oh, God, I hope his wife is not watching too. That would be real bad for him. Okay. So yeah, according to research, a lot of people feel as though they are underpaid on their job. A lot of people. So here's the question. If you work for an organization and you feel underpaid, what would you do? And I want everybody to answer that in the chat, because I'm going to tell you guys a story. So remember in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, when the last collapse happened and the economy went kaput? So I was in banking, and the bank I was working for, it went under. And so I took a job working for an organization that I truly love. So no slight on the organization. I stayed there 9.5 years. But for the first few years I was there, I was severely underpaid. I at first I didn't really realize it, but in all honesty, I was kind of happy to have a job because the alternative was being unemployed and being thrown out on the streets, right?
Sure.
But I remember I was there for a few years, and I had a meeting with my boss, and I remember having this candid conversation where I had done some market research, and I'd also had some impactful things that I had done there. And I asked for a raise, like just asked for one out of the blue. And I got one of the biggest raises I had ever gotten off cycle just by asking. So I think a lot of times in life, if we can prove that we've added value, I don't think companies are not going to give you a raise if they actually value what it is that you've given to them, you know?
Yeah, completely agree. And there's a negotiations book that I recommended to everyone. And when in this book, it's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. I might have even mentioned that on this show before, but he suggests when you're talking about any type of salary negotiations to go in with research first, right? Hey, this is what the market shows with my experience, all of this. This is how much that my salary, should be. And, instead of saying, no, I won't take this, job offer, or, I'm unhappy or whatever, just saying, hey, this is kind of what the market is showing right now. So you're kind of saying no or kind of asking for a raise almost without explicitly asking for it. But by showing research, then then you can't just, it doesn't seem like you're being greedy, saying, oh, I demand this money. It's like, hey, this is what the market is telling us right now. And sometimes, owner or bosses will respond to it positively. Sometimes you get to go test the market and see what you can find.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, you're going to put yourself out there, right? Instead of sort of like waiting in the back and stewing, right? Sometimes that's what people do, right? They don't explain exactly what it is that they want. They don't go and ask for it. So you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah. Sometimes if you don't ask, you don't get, and then you don't perform.
It's like a book. I think I've heard of a book like that.
Yeah, I think I've heard of a book kind of like that too. But no, yeah, you guys make really, really good points. And Never Split the Difference, by the way, is a really good book. It's one that I recommend too. So I'm right there with Thomas.
I don't even have it this close. Yep.
Oh wow.
Great.
Wow.
It's a great
Nice.
book. And I
Now,
don't
Marshall,
read books. I never recommend books other than Roberts. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
the book that the first time I started listening to it on an audiobook, I was on a treadmill, and before I finished the first chapter, I ordered the physical copy. It's just that well written, and it's a quick read, but it's so helpful.
Yeah.
I recommend anybody to read it unless you're going to do a negotiation with me. Then don't bother reading the book.
Now, Marsha says, hope you have an auto worker who is on strike on the show. They would be able to give a real perspective on fair and equal pay.
Unions are tough, unions are really tough. And if you read any of speaking of books, if you read any of the Ayn Rand books, Atlas Shrugged or Fountainhead, the unions are
Now, Atlas Shrugged.
Mm.
How many people do we know that may have actually read that entire book? You read the whole thing?
Loved
Holy
the
smokes.
whole thing. Yes.
It
the
was
whole
great.
thing.
Yeah. What is it, like 12,000 pages?
I'm not sure. I mean, it was definitely 3 very thick books,
Yeah.
so but I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Especially
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur, going away from working for someone and being an entrepreneur myself. At this point, it was an eye-opening book for sure.
Ooh, Justin wants to see that book again, Thomas. Never Split the Difference is the book, Justin. And Thomas is going to show you what it looks like.
Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yep.
This show is not sponsored by this book, but it's a fantastic book.
Yeah, not at all. So I'm guessing that if you all wanted a raise, you'd simply ask for it. Fair enough, right, Thomas, Galena? You just ask, right?
Sure.
Well, that would be the logical thing, but where are you going with this?
Oh, that would be the logical thing. You mean you wouldn't just create fake payroll records and send them off to the payroll processor and then fleece your company out of over $1 million? Like, you wouldn't do that?
Well, not right away.
Not right away. He is brutally honest today.
All right. So in today's story, a law firm controller pleaded guilty to inflating her payroll by $1.48 million over the course of only 3 years. Now, her real salary was about $140,000. But, inflation and stuff like that, she decided to take matters into her own hands and decided that she needed a raise of $1.48 million over a 3-year period of time. Now, what they're saying she did was she controlled the payroll records that went to the third party that processed payroll. And so periodically she would add additional amounts to her paycheck. But here's where it gets really interesting, because when you look at the actual indictment and you look at some of the amounts that she inflated her salary by, they should have been red flags. For example, in March of 2018, the indictment says that she overinflated her payroll by $30,836.67. Then again in November by $36,000 in 2019, and then in March of 2020 by $49,000.
Was her birthday in April, and then she was getting ready for Christmas shopping?
That's what I was thinking. But you know what? Here's what struck me as odd, though. So a salary of $140,000 a year is on average gross of about $10,000 a month. So that's gross. So net maybe about $7,000 a month. So even though she was in
Wow.
charge of the payroll records, you mean to tell me there are no other automated checks and balances where someone saw one person receiving $30,000 in a 1 month period of time that just kind of threw everything out of whack?
So that's literally why I wore this hat today. So I don't know if either of you have seen the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Absolutely.
It's an animated Spider-Man. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie so far. But it at the beginning of the movie, you keep getting introduced to new spider creatures, spider people. And every time they come in, they say, okay, guys, let's do this one last time. And then they give their backstory of how they got to where they are. And it feels like we're doing it again. Let's do this one last time. What kind of internal controls do they not have in place other than just eyeballs looking at, hey, why did $30,000 go out this month? It's absurd to me, the amount of trust that's put in without any oversight at all in this case.
That's right. Yeah. So it sounds like there probably wasn't another party, right? Or another person that was reviewing, right? It's what is it? Internal Controls 101. Whoever
Yeah.
prepares the payroll should not be approving it. Right? That's the record. That's the segregation of duties, right? So segregation of duties means that whoever prepares the payroll does not approve it or process it.
Or if you can even go, one step less than that, just say a payroll change report. Whenever they go to process the payroll, somebody has to look at the payroll change report. Was anything different compared to the previous pay period?
Right.
One simple report would catch that. Now, yes, she could have fraudulently modified that report, but I mean, just a simple change report would have caught this.
Yeah. How was she caught?
I could not find out how she was caught.
Yeah. I think the ADP finally called and said, hey, what's up?
That's what I'm guessing, because gee whiz. So if we think about this, what, 1.48 million over a 3-year period of time, accountants can't add, right? So
It's $500,000. That's, what is it? $500,000 every year.
Yeah.
We're working. So she made herself 640,000 about.
Well,
That's
what's
nice.
crazy though, I don't know if you caught this in the article, but it actually says she acknowledged her guilt, but she also agreed that the money she owes her former employer surpasses the ill-gotten 1.48 million. That tells me that she was dipping into the cash more than just payroll, but this is what they actually went after her about.
Yeah, and she pled not guilty last year. So she pled not guilty last year, and then she changed the tune because I guess there was such overwhelming evidence, and they probably were saying, hey, we have you for this much, and then you're probably going to end up in jail for longer than you want to be.
Yeah. Now, here's some questions I had, right? Did she ever walk into the office wearing fancy clothes? Or as Kelly always says, what kind of car did she drive? The parking lot audit. Because we all go through hard times, right? She was making $140,000 a year, which to me is a significant amount of money. I don't know if she was married, had children or whatever, but let's just say if we needed to increase our income because inflation, $50,000 a year might do it. $200,000 a year, I think we could be okay off of that if we're used to 140. $500,000 additional dollars a year. What was happening?
She did the market research.
That was good. That was good. Oh my God, that was good.
But she probably was looking at what like the CFO makes.
Right. She did the market research for the CFO position, not for the controller
No.
position. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. We do have some faithful listeners. Did she buy the Louis Vuitton teddy bear? That had to be Stephanie. Let me see. She probably did buy the Louis Vuitton. And Justin, did she go to Disney? Right.
I like it. I like it.
That is what I'm. Yeah, math is for Excel. But in all seriousness, we all go through stuff. We all go through hard times. And I've been saying since the beginning of this show, I'm always baffled by it's not small amounts that people take. They take these really huge amounts that make you wonder, did they really have a need or was it all greed?
Mm. Mm. Well, it
It
usually
reminds
starts
me of
out
things.
small, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she tested the waters. She did one payroll and then no one caught it. And then she's like, oh, I'm probably going to pay it back, right? With the next payroll. And then the next payroll, no one caught it again. And it's just a snowball that keeps going and going and going.
It reminds me of the Collins Street Bakery case, right? I mean, he took, what was that? I think it was like 200 out of petty cash or something like that. It was a small amount at first.
Yep.
And it just kept, like what you said, Glenn, it kept snowballing. He kept going bigger. And I don't remember, what was it, like 8 or 9 million, I think they convicted him of it over at the Collins Street Bakery. I mean, it's, something like this. It always starts small, but then just compounds and grows because they keep getting away with it.
All right. So now I'm going to ask everyone to do me a favor because I'm going to admit that I just made a mistake.
No.
Everyone who wants to be included in the giveaway, drop the hashtag that audit guy into the chat one more time. One more time. Somebody over here on this side forgot to push the button to start collecting the hashtags. I was about to do the giveaway and I looked and I was like, wait a minute. Why don't I see any of the collections coming in? So if you'd like to be put into the drawing for a copy of my book, drop the hashtag that audit guy into the chat one more time for me, please. Thank you. Now they are starting to roll in and I see it. You got to love technology, right? You got to love technology. Got to love technology.
You got to love it when it works or when you remember to hit the button.
Exactly. I'm telling you. So now I want to say, oh man, we've got some people watching on YouTube today too.
Hey.
Sometimes YouTube comes in, sometimes not. Very good.
Cool.
Very good. So you know what? I want to say what I said last week too, though. If you want to be a guest host on this show, get in touch with me because we're just rotating hosts at this point. I really do think that it's very beneficial. You get to improve your public speaking skills. You get to learn what it's like to just talk about audit, compliance, fraud, risk on the fly. And then you also get to engage with this great audience. Now, I will say the downside is you have to put up with me for about 30 to 45 minutes, but you can get over that at some point. At some point, it might start to pay benefits.
It's not too bad. It could be worse.
It could be worse.
Could be worse.
Okay. Now that I've said that, who's ready for a giveaway?
Do it. Let's see if this works.
Well, we know it's going to work. It's did I push the right buttons and do the right thing? It's definitely not the software. It is 100% the user, which it usually is, right? All right, so here we go. Let's draw. Debbie Vargas.
Debbie, congratulations.
Congrats. You know what? So look, Debbie is in Denver, Colorado, and I will be there next week. I'm going to talk more about this because I'm going to do a post advertising this thing because I'm going to be live in person at a conference in Denver, Colorado next week. So, Debbie, if you would like a copy of the book, just give me your mailing address, shoot me a DM, and we'll get it out to you. We will get it out to you as soon as we can. We will get it out to you as soon as we can.
And
By the way,
Debbie, while you're at it, you might go get a lottery ticket or something, since your Friday is really, really, really shaping up.
by the way, that conference, it is the Rocky Mountain Area Conference. And if you want to know more about it, go to accountingconference.org, accountingconference.org. It is in person and virtual on the 28th and the 29th. There's a huge lineup. Check this out. I'm going to be doing one of the opening presentations, and guess who will be doing the closing keynote address? Our very own Joe Irvin.
Very cool. Very, very cool. When
Very
you said Rocky Mountain, I was wondering if Joe was going to be involved.
Now, you know, Joe is everywhere. Where is she not? Look, Debbie's like, yeah, I'm going to play the Powerball. We're going to play. Yeah, Justin, exactly like rotating auditors on engagements. Yep. Look, Stephanie's like, I need to figure out. Excuse me. You need to figure out how to look in the camera. Yeah, it is tricky. It is very tricky. Can you imagine sitting on my side, though, where you're looking at the camera, and then down here is actually my monitor, and then over here is the keyboard. Then I have my phone off to the side over here where I look at a few things, and so I'm kind of all over the place, right?
Yeah.
I figure if I can do this, I can take on the toughest audit client.
Careful what you wish for.
I'm not wishing for it now.
Well, you'll be looking at and for the right things.
Ooh.
Because you have experience now.
There you go. And I'll be asking the right questions, getting this is going downhill fast, right?
Very fast. Very, very fast.
For sure. Oh, I have a question. Let's go back to our story. Do you guys think that this is her first offense?
No.
Why?
Because, and this is just my thought, I think the amount of money that was taken was so substantial. And I think that anytime someone is doing something wrong, the first few times there's a fear. Think back when we were children. The first white lie you told as a kid, you were so scared. You had that nervous feeling in the pit of your stomach, but you still lied anyway, right? Because children were born liars.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never lied as a kid. Never.
Right. But over time, the nervousness goes away and the things that you do become more brazen. When you look at these brazen criminals, it's usually not the big thing that they do is usually not the first thing that they've done. Even serial killers start with animals first. So no, I don't think this was her first thing.
They've actually proven that violent crime and the bigger crimes go down in cities that prosecute the smaller crimes more. So yeah, I definitely said at first, whenever you said, no, I didn't think this was her first time. I was a little surprised that you said no, but yeah, you make perfect sense. Stealing this amount in such a short period of time, it definitely seems like she's done something similar before.
Right.
Just got away with it.
Serial payroll bandit. You know what's interesting to me is that she agreed to restitution. So she agreed to pay back 1.5 million, almost 1.5 million, which is pretty remarkable, right? I mean, usually people don't keep that money once they misappropriate it. Let's just put it this way. It's spent.
Yeah, but she's facing a maximum of 20 years of prison. So she's probably doing everything she can to get that reduced. So if she agrees to pay back all of the money, that's that's what she's doing. She's trying to stay out of prison.
Yeah.
Good point.
And to Thomas's point, if she agrees to pay it back, I mean, she could die and still have an outstanding balance as long as it reduces her sentence. And or
Mm,
what if the actual amount she stole was twice that?
Very true.
yeah, yeah. Because payroll could have been just one of the things, right? And if she was
Yeah.
a controller, she had access to other things.
Yeah. I mean, there are cases where people are stealing computer equipment and then, you know, selling it on the black market.
Right.
Yeah, and it is maybe she is bipolar. That could be very well true nowadays, right?
Yep.
There's
Right.
so much going
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
still baffled at the amount though. $140,000 a year salary, and you steal the equivalent of $500,000 a year for 3 years. Like, what was happening? Was there a family member that had huge medical expenses? Were you just that greedy? Did you go to Disney World with your Louis Vuitton teddy bear? Like, what? That's a lot of money.
And I'm still dumbfounded they didn't notice $500,000 a year going out the door as a business. I mean, I know it's a law firm. I'm sure you know, a large sum of money goes through their accounts, but it just seems
Right.
like $500,000. Somebody would say, "Hey, why is payroll suddenly $500,000 more this year than it was last year?" It's just,
They
especially,
didn't. That's what it is, right? No
yeah,
no one sat down and said, okay, let's look at their budgets, right? And see,
yeah.
compare budget to actuals, right? I
Well,
don't think that
also,
was
I don't think we've
happening.
mentioned this yet, but this was 2019, 2020, 2021. You know, okay, 2019, everything is going fine. 2020, all of a sudden, you know, half the people in the, you know, in the world stopped going to offices, right? More than half. So, you know, if you have the COVID shutdown, one of the first things that people started doing was, okay, where are we spending money? Where, you know, what can we cut costs? How can we stay alive? Nobody looked at payroll to say, hey, where did this $500,000 go?
Mm-mm.
So now, here's the other thought that I had. So I'm glad Thomas brought up the COVID element or that time frame. Did this law firm receive any PPP loans that were eventually forgiven? And if they did, she may have placed the law firm in bigger trouble, which also might be why she admitted to 1.5 million and possibly could have stolen more, because it could have gotten swept under the PPP loan category.
Mm.
Good point. I
Good
didn't think of that.
point. Yeah, very, very good point.
Yeah,
So
that
you
was the
think it
part that
was
scared
a
me.
red flag that came from IRS?
No,
That
there's no way with that.
she just didn't pay the taxes, you know?
Marsha says maybe because they didn't have me as their auditor. But yeah. Ooh, Justin says law firms have distributions and draws. Yeah, cash flows has to be on the forefront of their minds at all times. But they are
Yep.
lawyers, so they're smarter than everyone else. Wink, wink. I just added the wink, wink. I just saw it, Justin. I knew that you wanted to communicate the wink, wink. But yeah, the in all seriousness, the PPP loan part hit me when I looked at the years, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
because if you think about it, during that time period, no one was going to court in 2020 and 2021. At least not in
That's right.
2020. By 2021, maybe it was a little bit of Zoom, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
everything got backed up with the courts as well.
Right, right.
Now, yeah, you're talking about cash flow, and you know, I know both of you have your own businesses that you run, you know, own services that you provide, and I'm sure you're the same way I am. Here in my home office, I've got 2 whiteboards. One of them is strictly cash flow. You know, what's coming in, what's going out, who do I owe? You know, and my wife can walk in and see how are we paying the bills this month. So, I mean, that's on the forefront of just about, or it should be on the forefront of every business owner's mind. So, yeah, you know, that was a great point that Justin made.
Yep. All right. So, any other thoughts about today's story?
No.
It really made me want to send them my book, even just a link to the PDF of the book of, hey, here's some internal controls you should have had that would have saved you millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that popped in my mind.
Yeah.
So the
No, I
last,
mean, hey, how about this? We just go and solicit law firms. We just say, hey, you guys can be our clients.
yeah,
Uh,
one of the last things I thought about though was surely they had a financial statement audit, and I know, look, the whole purpose of the financial statement audit is to see if the financial statements are fairly represented. $500,000 more in payroll should have been more than just a blip. And again, I don't know what we're talking about as far as their total payroll expenses. It has to be mighty high in order for a $500,000 uptick to not,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
raise the red flag on anybody's variance analysis.
So potentially, they will have really a lot of high rolling attorneys, right?
Right.
Yeah. That and the fluctuation could be because they would have a certain amount of billable hours this month and then a different amount of billable hours next month. So
Yeah.
that's the potential for why the fluctuation didn't really catch anyone's attention potentially. Just the
Very
nature
true.
of just the nature of the business.
Very, very true.
mhm.
Well, all righty. So thank you all for joining us on episode 116, Fair and Equal Pay. Join us each week while we have fun, prizes, surprises, and giveaways. So is anyone curious about next week's episode and what we're going to talk about? Anyone curious? I may just give a teaser if I get enough interest from our audience members. I may give a teaser. And also, while I have you here, I want to invite you to the next few episodes of Audit Bites. You know, the best podcast about internal auditing hosted by yours truly. I want to invite you to the next few episodes of Audit Bites. So let me tell you what we're going to talk about on the next episodes of Audit Bites. If I can pull it up, I just lost my place. Ha. It's hard over here, man. No, okay. So let me go back. If you missed episode number 44, Are Auditors Imposters? Go back to that. We talked about imposter syndrome as an internal auditor. Coming up next week on 926, Are You Curious Enough to Make a Difference? That's the title of the episode. And on October the 10th, Stop Auditing After the Fact. And then we have a special episode on October the 24th, Board Governance Gone Wrong. These episodes happen every other Tuesday at 11:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. 11:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. And so, since I see people asking about the next Friday Fraudster, let's give a teaser. If I can keep myself straight over here. All right. So, next week's episode, the title of the episode is The Foul the Foul Farewell. Okay. I'm going to get this straight in just 1 second. The Foul Farewell. The Foul Farewell. So, I just want to see if anyone is going to be able to take a wild guess as to what that is about. It is going to be called The Foul Farewell. So,
I was expecting you to spell it Fowl, like the bird fowl. So now that you say foul, I'm wondering, is it baseball related?
ooh, is it baseball related? It might be baseball related. No, it's not.
I was gonna say, and for the record, I have no idea. I'm like the audience right now. I have no clue. I look forward to hearing it, whatever it is, or seeing it.
Uh-huh. Oh goodness. Stephanie says poop. Hey, Stephanie, that would be fun. I don't know if you remember the very first episode. It was called oh man, it was about poop. It was a poop company though. Oh, I forgot what I titled it. But I remember I titled it as such because I remembered saying to Joe and Kelly, so poop sells, and if we screw this up royally, no one will care because the episode was about poop. It was The Crappy Company. That was the name of the episode. It was called The Crappy Company, and it was about a poop company that had committed fraud.
I remember that title. Yeah.
Heather says bird related. The chicken industry. No. Justin says soccer. No. This is fun. Now, Clarence says most of the time you miss audit bites. You know, Clarence, but you can always catch the replay right here on LinkedIn or on my YouTube channel. And you know what? While I'm asking people to do things for me, go ahead and subscribe to that Audit Guys YouTube channel. Just go ahead and subscribe to it, because we got a lot of prizes and surprises coming to that channel. As soon as I can get myself together over here again, I'm going to go to a link to that channel and I'm going to drop it in the chat for everyone. All right. I think that's enough for today. Don't you guys think? We've had enough fun.
Always fun.
So the last thing I am going to do is drop the link to the YouTube channel into the LinkedIn chat and say thank you to everyone. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining.
Have a great Friday.
Let's go ask.